2 years ago, my son, who was 21 at the time, Andrew, who'd been suffering from depression, was studying at university, and I got a call from the police to tell me that he'd tried to take his own life. I knew he'd been depressed, but I didn't know that he was trying to self-medicate with marijuana, which had led on to other drugs and alcohol. And I brought him home, and he went back to university to try and study for his exams. And a few weeks later, he came home and he was in the middle of a manic, psychotic episode. It escalated, we tried to get help, but after several times, Andrew just used to run away. He'd go back to London. Then he'd threaten things, he'd ring us and say, "You've got to come and get me now, otherwise I'm committing suicide." And he did try 3 times to commit suicide. He was very threatening, and the worst day for me was one day when he said he was going to hang himself in the woods, and if I didn't get there soon, that's what he was going to do. And so I raced to pick him up, and he was very abusive towards me. And when we got home, he surrounded himself with weapons, knives, broken bottles. So we managed to get an assessment done, and they agreed that he needed to go to hospital and to have some help. The point I really realised I wasn't just Andrew's mum, but his carer, was when he was coming home from hospital. He'd been on a few home visits, and we were building up to him coming back permanently, and we had to name a carer so that Oxford Health could liaise with us about what to do with Andrew and a care package. And it really was when he came home that I was carer full-time. Being a carer didn't really change anything initially because I didn't have any support. I was doing the caring, but there was nobody else involved at that point. The care package didn't get put into place. We had very little contact with anybody. I think we eventually made a few phone calls and we were promised something, but lack of staff or time or whatever, there wasn't an allocated carer available. So everything we'd been promised in hospital that would happen immediately just didn't. So I just bumbled along as a carer and tried my best to look after Andrew and make sure he was safe every day. The turning point really came when we were introduced to Annette, who was our second care coordinator. There was somebody who was interested, who rang me up, the day after she'd been, to say, "This is happening. We've got a meeting with a psychiatrist for Andrew. He's going to have counselling. You're going to have family counselling, and we'll get the care assessment done as soon as possible." I think the intervention from the I Care, You Care strategy absolutely changed our lives. I think it saved Andrew's life, and I think it possibly saved my life as well, because there were very desperate times when I didn't know what I was doing and I didn't feel I was doing enough. That intervention really did come critical time for us, and bit by bit, day by day, things started to improve from the minute we had Annette as coordinator. From that moment on, I felt much more involved in Andrew's care, really, because I felt like I was doing more the right thing. We were talking more openly as a family, and Andrew started responding because he wanted to feel like his old self. He didn't want us treating him like he was ill. He hated that. He hated that feeling that he was ill. So that really helped, and particularly the family therapy that Annette organised with herself and Chloe. The questions, they are so gentle, but they drew us out as a family, and I think that really, really helped as well. So in the midst of the crisis, when everything was at its worst, what I really needed was somebody to come to me and say, "This is what's on offer, here are the numbers, this is where you can go." Because I wasn't thinking about anything other than getting Andrew through from day to day. I wasn't thinking about myself, hardly thinking about my other children, and you really do need the care coordinator or the trust to come to the carer, not the other way round, because you won't do it. I didn't do it. I waited a long time because I kept thinking, somebody will help me. And that's what we need, a phone call, a text, somebody to listen, and somebody to answer our questions when we've got them and to take them seriously. 2 years on, Andrew's back at university, studying for his finals. He's got lots of extensions because he can't deal with too much pressure. But, you know, it's changed our lives. A lot of it's been fantastic because we've learnt a lot. And thank you very much, Annette, particularly for changing our lives, helping us.